Hey everybody, it's Galmodex and welcome back to more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Dungeons & Dragons Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Our rare today is a Wizard's Spellbook, 7 mana for an artifact. You get to tap it, exile an instant or sorcery from a graveyard, and then roll a d20. You can only do that at sorcery speed. On a 1 to 9, you copy the card and cast the copy. You do still have to pay the mana cost if you roll a 1 or 9. If you roll 10 or 19, you get to spend a 1 instead of that card's mana cost. And if you roll a 20, you get to copy everything exiled with the Wizard's Spellbook and cast them all for free. So this is a really fun card. However, it is really, really slow, maybe even too slow for the format, as red and white, even black, have some really powerful aggressive options. So I'm not a huge fan of the Spellbook for that, but it's still the most fun card in this pack, and it's a rare. You don't get to play with these super often. I want to try it out one time here. Don't know how well it's going to work out. Definitely not my recommendation if you're just wanting to win, but I want to have a good time while I play, and Wizard Spellbook, rolling those d20s, copying a bunch of stuff from the grave, seems like a good time to me. So pack 2 here, we have nothing insane. We have like a Guild Thief, which is okay. If you're in that unblockable sort of strategy in like blue-black, it can be a lot of fun. Lightfoot Rogue, I'm not a big fan of, being very low toughness and gaining death touch on attacks is so weird to me because it just means they aren't going to block it with like their big 4/4s or 5/5s or whatever, but death touch is so much more useful on blocks than attacks. Yeah, really not a big fan of any of our uncommons here. I'm kind of thinking about going for something like a Hoarding Ogre here, just to help facilitate playing these big 7 mana cards like the Wizard Spellbook. If we are trying to go in that direction, this also rolls d20s, so both of these have that in common. And red-blue, both of those colors have a lot of cards that roll d20s, so if we get any cards like Pixie Guide, that'll work great with both the Hoarding Ogre and the Wizard Spellbook. So I think those two cards synergize really well together, so we're going to have Wizard Spellbook and Hoarding Ogre as the first couple picks. And out of this pack, I'm again not a big fan of the uncommons here. Guild Thief is solid. Split the Party. Don't love Split the Party. If your opponent has 2 creatures out, it only bounces 1 of them. If they have 3 or more creatures out, though, you do get to bounce 2 of them. But yeah, this is a lot of mana to do that. I think Split the Party just seems a bit slow. I might just scoop up a Pixie Guide here to go with our dice rolling shenanigans. Yeah, nothing that absurd in that pack there. Pretty weak pack all around for pick 3 there. Here we do have another Hoarding Ogre in pick 4. Pretty solid with that. Yeah, really goes with what we're doing here. Bar the Gate is an instant or sorcery. We do want to have a lot of those for Wizard Spellbook. However, counter spells don't work particularly well with the Spellbook because you can only cast them when you roll that die at sorcery speed. So if you hit a counter spell off the Wizard Spellbook, it doesn't do anything. So I don't love Bar the Gate for that. Faraday's Fireball's okay, but there are definitely better removal spells, especially in red, like the 2 mana 3 damage removal spell. That would be much, much better. And that would help us with Wizard Spellbook, but again, looking for hopefully cheaper ones. We'll just take a Hoarding Ogre for now. Now we have Charmed Sleep, great removal for blue. 3 mana to tap a creature and keep it tapped, as long as your Charmed Sleep remains on the battlefield. It's that or a Hulking Bugbear, and I don't think we're getting particularly aggressive with this deck, most likely, if we're trying to have Wizard Spellbook be our top end, but maybe if we get enough treasure tokens, we could be an aggressive deck that's just using a bunch of treasures to facilitate playing a 7 mana Spellbook. Yeah, I do think the Hulking Bugbear is a very, very quality aggressive red card. 3 mana for 3/3 haste is just a very good rate, and red is a great color. Aggressively, we already have 2 solid red commons of the Hoarding Ogres. Yeah, I think I will take the Bugbear over the Charmed Sleep here, actually. And that leaves us really, really easily taking the Charmed Sleep out of this pack. It's that or a Soul Knife Spy, and Soul Knife Spy is definitely at its best in like blue-black or in any deck that has ways to get this unblockable or make sure that your opponent's board is always clear. We don't have any removal yet, so we don't have a lot of interaction for clearing our opponent's board for this, and we currently don't have anything that would give it unblockable or anything like that, so nothing that combos well with the Soul Knife Spy. Will just take the Great Removal spell here instead. the Charmed Sleep. Now we have Steadfast Paladin still in here is a great sign for aggressive white decks, and aggressive decks are pretty powerful in this format. But there's also Unexpected Windfall, which gives us a spell that we can actually use with our Wizard spellbook, plus it gives us 2 treasure tokens to help cast it. If I want to just stay absolutely glued on my first pick here, I would just take Unexpected Windfall. Otherwise, I do think the best card in this pack is just the 2-mana 2/2 lifelink, just a great rate for that card. I'm going to go with the Unexpected Windfall here. We're trying to do spellbook things. Let's make sure they go off and actually happen. And here we have a Contact Other Plane, a great blue draw spell, going to combo very well with the Wizard spellbook. We also have a good aggressive red creature, the Valor Singer. 3 mana for a 3/3 at worst. At best, you get to put that +1 power wherever you want it. But yeah, at worst, if this is the only creature on your board, you just keep making it a 3/3 during your combat. Not a bad card at all. We do get multiple Contact Other Planes here. Very happy to get that. Now, don't think we'll be aggressive enough to want this little combat trick. Nor do I think we'll want the Polymorph, so we'll just take an Arcane Investigator. Just another 2-mana creature to play out. Block some stuff if nothing else. Now we'll go ahead and scoop up a Split the Party. Maybe we'll run that just because we have Spellbook, but I would not normally. Alright, and some fine stuff as we get to the end of that pack. Some more stuff we could actually play here. So now we have an Evolving Wilds for mana fixing. We have Plundering Barbarian as another ramp/mana fixing card with the treasure token on it there. Also gives us main deckable artifact hate. And there are some powerful rare and uncommon artifacts in the format. Yeah, I think those are genuinely just my 2 favorite cards out of this pack, just Evolving Wilds and Plundering Barbarian, if I'm being honest. Outside of that, in our colors, there's a Soul Knife Spy, Armory Veteran, and Boots of Speed. Not the biggest fan of any of those for this deck. I think I'll just take a Plundering Barbarian here. Alright, here we go. Here's where we're going to get something really spicy, whatever card we take. We have Wizard class, which is a class that can, at the very least, draws 2 cards on the level 2 of it, which is great. And late game can start putting +1/+1 counters on one of our creatures as we draw cards, which is fantastic. We have Feywild Trickster giving us 1/1 flyers every time we roll a die. Incredible combo with the Hoarding Ogres, then we get a 1/1 flyer every time those attack. Great combo with all our other dice rolling, like Contact Other Plane, Wizard Spellbook, all that. I think I like the Feywild Trickster a lot just to go with what we're doing here, but Wizard class is another very powerful card. And then right after these 2, I do like the Chaos Channeler as well. If this gets an attack in, it'll draw you at least 1 card off the top of your library that you can only cast the turn that you attacked. And if you're lucky, if you roll well, you draw 2 or 3 cards into exile off of that, which is fantastic. Here I definitely like the Genie Windseer, or even potentially the Swarming Goblins. Either one of these cards that rolls a d20 when it comes into play, we are kind of going in on that strategy now. Fly is a pretty powerful card, giving something flying, of course, and also the ability to venture in the dungeon whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent. Just a great little value spell there. But I would rather take a card that's a little more synergistic here. So a Genie Windseer or a Swarming Goblins, and these are both like super fine cards as well. I think I'm going to take the Windseer here first, because I feel like I see the Swarming Goblins later on in the packs than I see the Windseers. And we could try to do some kind of little red, black, blue thing here, but Kalane's not a card you can really splash in because we want to cast her as quickly as possible. We want to have her out on turn 2 before we play any of our other creatures. But we do have a lot of treasure tokens, so it wouldn't be absolutely unplayable. I think I'm just going to stick to just blue-red here, take the Genie Windseer. Well, Clever Conjurer seems pretty helpful. Helps get our mana untapped to be able to cast our Wizard Spellbook a little earlier. and it can even untap the spellbook to let it go all over again. And if nothing else, this will be untapping our creatures, basically giving something vigilance now and then. Wow, and we're just going to get an absolute stack of Genie Windseers, I suppose. This is just going to be blue-red dice rolling, I think. I'm just going to make sure everything in this deck rolls a d20 here. So this should be pretty cool. And wow, the perfect card for us here. The only thing I don't like is that we are passing up on a Pixie Guide, unfortunately, which is another great card for us. But Barbarian class here, allowing us to roll 2 dice whenever we roll a die and ignore the lowest roll is great. And this also can give our creatures menace whenever we're rolling a die. Great, great, great combo with the Hoarding Ogres. And a pretty good combo with any of our other dice rolling. And here we get to wheel the Evolving Wilds, which is wonderful. We'll absolutely take that and throw that in here. We wheel the Swarming Goblins, get in here. We're going to be rolling dice all over the place today. Should be a good time all around. And I don't think I'll be playing those counter spells, so I'm just throwing them into the side there. I don't love the Shocking Grasp, but we do really need to get our instant sorcery count up. We have like 7 right now. Really hoping for better stuff than that, but I'm not going to play a Silver Raven in this deck. And we'll definitely play a Brazen Dwarf over a counter spell. Alright. So here we are in pack 3. I feel like our removal isn't ideal. We have Charmed Sleep, we have Power Persuasion, which is only a temporary removal spell, basically bouncing something. Same with You Come to a River, just a bounce spell there. Our removal is very, very bad, so I think that as cool as a lot of these cards are, and as good as a lot of them would be for us, we have to just scoop up a Dragon's Fire here to make sure we have some removal. This also helps give us more cards to play with Wizard's Spellbook. Yeah, it is unfortunate, because I think a Chaos Channeler would be great in here. Chaos Channeler, just like the Hoarding Ogres, let us roll a die every time they attack, which is fantastic with cards like Feywild Trickster and Barbarian class that really want us rolling dies as frequently as possible. Ooh, and now Farida, Devil's Chosen, the absolute payoff here, gaining Menace and Flying whenever we roll a die. And if we get a 10 or greater, we get to draw a card, which is absolutely beautiful with the amount of dice we'll be rolling in this deck. We should be able to draw quite a few cards off of this if it doesn't get removed immediately. Alright, and another removal spell here. Very happy to see that. A Magic Missile. Genie Windseer would be fine in here, but we already have 3 of those, and we've already seen that we are light on removal. Definitely want more of them, and Magic Missile is as good as any. 3 mana for 3 damage, divided as we choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So it gives us another great early game removal spell. And another Hoarding Ogre is going to be the pick for me here. The Aberrant Mind Sorcerer is pretty cool, but the fact that the Hoarding Ogre can roll a die every single turn, as long as it stays on the board, is really important with, again, cards like Barbarian class, Feywild Trickster, Farida, Devil's Chosen, all these cards that want us rolling dies as much as possible. So again, Aberrant Mind Sorcerer is a really good card that would be solid for us here. We have a lot of instants and sorceries, so it is synergistic there, but I think Hoarding Ogre is just going to be a bit better for us. Also, the treasure tokens on the Hoarding Ogre do matter quite a bit for potentially making it to that spellbook. And don't think I'll be playing a Dungeon Descent. We only have like 1 legendary in this deck. So I'd rather just keep my mana base good and have less tapped lands, less colorless lands. So we'll just take an Unexpected Windfall. Or I guess potentially we don't have a lot of 2-mana creatures, do we? We could just scoop up a 2/2 for 2. Yeah, I'll scoop up a 2/2 for 2. We have 2 Contact Other Planes. I don't expect to want more than 1 Unexpected Windfall, even if I do want that 1 copy. Because we've already got a good amount of card draw even without those. Well, there's some solid cards still in this pack. None really for us, though. There's a Grim Bounty and a Cleric class still in here, which is insane. Critical Hit, like, theoretically works well with what our deck's doing, but we're never going to want to just randomly give something Double Strike. And rolling a natural 20, even if you're rolling as many dice as we should be, is still an incredibly rare chance. take a Pixie Guide over a Brazendorf here, I think. But these are both very good for us. I think I just prefer the little flyer there and getting a bit luckier. Definitely will help with rolling 10 or greater, which is wonderful with the Devil's Chosen. Another Pixie Guide or Scion of Stygia. Boots of Speed. See how our curve's looking. Looks like a lot on 3. We can go for another 2-drop Pixie Guide here. Be pretty happy about it. Another Contact Other Plane. Incredibly happy about that. Now I can probably just cut the Unexpected Windfall. Have 3 roll a die draw spells, which are kind of perfect. And I won't be playing any of this stuff. And I expect that to be the case for everything coming up. Actually, we'll play a Brazendorf here. 2 mana, 1/3, and keep damaging our opponent as we roll dice. We get the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer as well, which is great for us. I believe I will play that. I suppose it is a bit slow, which I wasn't taking into account. But getting an instant or sorcery back from your grave to hand is great. I suppose putting it on top of your library is pretty bad if we are unlucky on this card. But hopefully with 3 Pixie Guides, the Mind Sorcerer should work out pretty decently. We get to cut 11 cards out of this deck. Let's see what we want to cut here. I don't want to cut too many instants and sorceries, but the Wizard Spellbook can cast cards from our opponent's graveyard as well. We will need some treasure tokens out to be able to cast their stuff if we roll a 1 to 9. Like if our opponent has a green instant or sorcery in their graveyard, we do need green mana to cast it if we roll 1 to 9. But we have Hoarding Ogres giving us treasure tokens, hopefully. Yeah, I think we can cut some of the weaker instants and sorceries in here, even though we do have the spellbook. So I'm thinking about maybe even cutting all 4 of these. And then what do we do for creatures? We gotta cut 7 more cards. Probably not an Armory Veteran. We don't have any equipment in here. The Pixie Guides and Brazendorfs are the most sensical of the 2-drops, but even Arcane Investigator makes some sense in here, allowing us to roll d20s later on if we get flooded out. Gives us something to do with our mana. And potentially puts another card on the board that makes sure that we're rolling a d20 every turn, which is great with the Dwarves, the Trickster, the Devil's Chosen. Yeah, this is going to be a difficult deck to choose what to cut here. I think I'm going to go with the less aggressive version because I am using like the spellbook. So cut the dwarfs that damage our opponent. Go more to like the all-in lucky version. Trying to get high rolls on stuff. Trying to draw into the wizard spellbook with our triple Contact Other Plane. Maybe take out the haster here as well. Get pretty slow. Still need to cut 2 more cards after all that. Got a bit of a Flyers theme here. With 3 Genie Windseers and 3 Pixie Guides. Feywild Tricksters spitting out 1/1 Flyers. Suppose we could cut You Come to a River. Then we're getting pretty low on interaction. I think I'm fine with it though. And then 1 more cut. Could cut 1 Windseer, 1 Hoarding Ogre. Could cut the Clever Conjurer as well. All it really does is help cast Spellbook, just that 1 card. Yeah, we'll cut the Clever Conjurer here. Hopefully the treasures from the Hoarding Ogres will be our main goal to get to Wizard Spellbook. Or just lasting till the long game. Even just using draw spells like Contact Other Plane can make sure we draw all the mana we need eventually. Just won't be really ramping to the spellbook all that often. This is a 14 creature deck, so this is really all in on the spellbook. I do really want to try out the spellbook, but I feel like the best build of this deck the most competitive build of this deck might cut the spellbook, lower the curve a bit, focus more in on the barbarian class, just get more aggressive, cut spellbook, throw in bugbear, throw in the 2 brazen dwarfs, and cut some of the other high drops. But I don't really want to do that. I want to go for the wizard spellbook here, so we're gonna run it as is and see what happens. See if we can't get some crazy stuff going on. See if we can't roll a natural 20 on a wizard spellbook at some point. That would be very cool. All in all, let's just try to have a good time with this draft. Ooh. Ooh. This hand is a pretty sweet curve, but we don't have an untapped red source unless we draw into an island here. We are on the draw, so it could happen. Or draw into a mountain here, my bad. Alright, well, we're probably not playing this barbarian class for quite some time. Because we'll go Pixie Guide into Trickster into Contact Other Plane, most likely as our curve. Opponent starts off with Double Mountain into an island, so they're blue-red as well, and here comes a Plundering Barbarian, giving them a treasure token. We have a Dragon's Fire here. Don't feel the need to use that just yet. I think I'll drop down our Trickster here. Could definitely get shot down by something, but I'm hopeful it will not. I'm going to hold back our Pixie Guide to block 2 damage for us here. They've got 2 2/2s out already. They're a red deck, so I would like to hold back their aggression. We're a pretty late game deck, trying to just get a lot of card draw off of Contact Other Planes and stuff. Win with card advantage, maybe eventually, fingers crossed, with a really big amount of card advantage from Farida Devil's Chosen or from Wizard Spellbook. Alright, there's a Hoarding Ogre. We might want to blow that up with our Dragon's Fire before we even contact another plane. It seems... yeah, that seems fine to me. I think I'm just going to get that out of here right now before it gives them any treasures, gets them any value, really. There's a Pixie Guide. So we are playing against pretty much the mirror match here. They're also just going to be rolling a lot of dice, it looks like, with Pixie Guide into Goblin Morningstar. 2 dice rolling cards there. Don't want to get a Hoarding Ogre onto this board. I don't think it changes much. They're already not going to be attacking, most likely, into these 1/3s. So I think we play our Barbarian class, and then Contact Other Plane, and we'll get a 1/1 flyer out of that. Send the Morningstar onto the Veteran. It's now a 3/2 with Menace. I think I want to just take the 3. I could double block with both Pixie Guides and I only lose one of them, or I could use Contact Other Plane to make a 1/1 and then double block with a 1/1 and a Pixie Guide and only lose a Pixie Guide. Either way, it doesn't really matter. We lose a Pixie Guide, but having 2 Pixie Guides out makes any rolls really likely to be good. So I think I'm cool just leaving it as is, taking that 3 damage. Yeah, look at all that. Those 4 dice I got to roll there. And there's a Wizard Spellbook coming up. Whew. We have 4 5 mana already. This will be the 6th, this mountain here. Yeah, let's draw these both. Get towards that Wizard Spellbook. Ooh, and the Devil's Chosen. Alright, alright. What do we play here? Do we play the Devil's Chosen first? I don't think so. because we're not rolling any dice naturally on board. I think we just play the Hoarding Ogre, level up the Barbarian class. I guess either way we go, we can level up the Barbarian class. But then by getting the Hoarding Ogre out, next turn we know we can roll a die if they don't kill this Ogre. So if I don't hit the Spellbook mana, I can send in the Ogre to get the treasure to hit it. That'll spit out a 1/1. I could cast Farida beforehand to draw a card as well. Could do a lot of stuff there. I think I'll be taking 3 again. A Tiger Tribe Hunter. When they attack with pack tactics, they can sacrifice a creature to have it deal damage equal to its power to target creatures. So they can kill our Feywild Trickster now. That is very unfortunate. Basically, they can attack with that and like a 2/2 and then throw the 2/2 at our Trickster. I really do not like that. Could go for the Wizard Spellbook here. I won't have the 1 mana I need to cast something, so I think I have to attack with Hoarding Ogre here if I want to actually cast something that I target with the Spellbook. We have Contact Other Plane and Dragon's Fire. So we could just Contact Other Plane to draw a bunch of cards. We roll a die when we use the Spellbook. We roll a die when we cast Contact Other Plane. Get a bunch of 1/1s that way. Yeah, let's send in the Hoarding Ogre attack here. Hoarding Ogre is probably going to die, but it's worth the sacrifice to get a treasure token out here. Make sure that the Spellbook goes off. It's so astronomically unlikely that we don't roll at least a 10 on the Spellbook. Well, I guess we did 3/2, 3/2 there, so if we do that again, we won't roll a 10 on the Spellbook and we won't be able to cast something. Oh dear. Hopefully that was our bad luck out of the way right there. Alright, the trades happen. Now here's the Spellbook. Come on. Do they have a 1 mana counterspell here? Okay. Alright, what do we get here? Alright, 19. I was getting worried on those first 2 rolls. Use our treasure token there. Get some more 1/1s before our Feywild Trickster dies. Alright, well I like both of these a lot. Rolling dice whenever we attack, rolling a die when we play it. I think I'll go for, yeah, just draw them both. I keep forgetting I'm about to draw those cards I just scryed into. So I'm like, oh, I gotta order them. No, I don't. I can just draw them straight up. Well, Tiger Tribe Hunter gets to do its thing. They'll throw Armory Veteran, or they'll move the equipment to the Pixie Guide and throw that at the Trickster. And then we can just block the Tiger Tribe Hunter with our 4 1/1s here. Basically a near empty board against a near empty board after that, and I've got a lot of card draw coming up with Farida into the Windseer and a Farida with Wizard Spellbook on the board. Just all in all, some really, really good synergies coming up in this deck to really close out the long game, as long as we keep this board as clear as we can. Spiked Pit Trap. They do have the mana to blow up one of these 1/1s. Alright. We get rid of the Spiked Pit Trap here. We can blow up their Pixie Guide so that they don't have enough power to attack with Pack Tactics next turn if I'm really worried about the Tribe Hunter's ability. We draw into a Charmed Sleep as well, which is great. Do I need to do that here? Kind of do. If I want any of the creatures I play from now on to survive, which I do. No instants or sorceries in their graveyard still in their red-blue deck. Don't love that. Yeah, well, I think I'm just gonna roll on Wizard Spellbook to draw a card. I don't know if that's worth it. But, like, Dragon's Fire is only gonna kill their little 1/3 anyway. Yeah, you have to exile an instant sorcery from a graveyard to tap it. But, like, I draw a card here, but then I guarantee I'm just exiling the Dragon's Fire without killing anything. Yeah, no, I'd probably just pass here. I can probably take it a little slower. Biggest thing I'm worried about is more plundering barbarians from our opponent to just blow up our giant spellbook. Dragon's Fire, hey, that's a card we can exile with our Wizard Spellbook. No Farida. That was not meant to be a pun. But that's that ended up being a pretty solid one. No Farida. Alright, let's use their Dragon's Fire here. Alright, let's use their Dragon's Fire and our Contact Other Plane. Nice 20 there. I'll take it. 14 there. Draw these. Both great cards. Just buff the field again? Oh my god. This is nuts. Do we draw a spell again here? Let's play a Windseer, get some more power on the board. Scry first and then draw. Don't want these mountains. Get some more power. Contact Other Plane. Draw those. Get some more power. Attack for 10 here. Yeah, we just got a full grip of all gas. Opponent does still have a creature. They've got their Den of the Bugbear they can send in as a 3/2. It'll make a 1/1 when it attacks as well. They do have an Air Cult Elemental in hand, though, to bounce one of our creatures. Bounce the Genie Windseer. Another Genie Windseer. We could pretty easily find lethal here, right, with some good rolls. Because any roll with Barbarian class gives us +2 power. We roll twice, that's 6. Yeah, let's just Spellbook Dragon's Fire here. Alright, roll to be able to cast it for 1. We're going to get that out of the way. I suppose we don't need to get it out of the way. If we just roll another die, they'll both have Menace. Yeah, we could just Magic Missile the face for 3. And then Genie Windseer to roll another die. Attack with 2 Menace creatures here. And the Scry doesn't matter either. That is 6 Menace damage. So I guess I should have just picked up a Contact Other Plane there since we were going for the Menace kill instead of the Dragon's Fire. My thought process with the Dragon's Fire is if we rolled a 20, I could double Dragon's Fire to kill the 2/5 there. But if we rolled a 20, we were already going to roll so many dice for so much Menace damage that we should have just went for the guaranteed die roll and draw a couple cards off the spellbook. But that was An incredibly good showing from the blue-red dice rolling deck there. My one major concern, as I've said before, is we're a bit of a slow deck here, so I am worried about better, more aggressive kind of red decks just coming onto the board under us and destroying us before we set up any of our big synergies like that. Like this hand right here, this is a hand that I'm very tempted to keep, and this hand can get crushed by a good aggressive deck. But if we're playing against a mid-range, especially if we're playing against another slow deck, I think this is the kind of hand that can really go toe-to-toe and end up with a ton of value, more than our opponent is likely to get. So I am going to keep it, but again, we could absolutely get crushed by a pretty fast deck here. Our opponent starting with blue is a good sign. Blue is just about the only color in this format that doesn't have a particularly aggressive build, or at least not a ton of aggressive cards. I think the blue-black deck is probably the one that uses the most aggressive blue creatures, just the 3-mana 3/2s that draw cards and stuff like that. But they are pairing it with red, which is the color with the most aggression in the format. So 2 blue-red mirror matches here. We'll see what this opponent's up to, but it looks like just about the same thing as us again, with the Brazen Dwarf as their first play. Send in for 1 damage, we're down to 19. And a Pixie Guide from them, so I'm very happy to just see some 1-power creatures from our opponent. Definitely gives us the time to set up for our late game plays. Do I want to just play a Windseer because it can block either one as a 3/3? Or do I want to play the Hoarding Ogre, try to get some treasures out for our spellbook? We don't have any removal in hand to make sure the Hoarding Ogre can get in. They already have 2 power on the board, so if they put any other creature out, Hoarding Ogre isn't going to have a good attack. So I kind of think I want to set out a Ginny Windseer here and scry a little bit. Alright, scry 1 card. Plundering Barbarian. Let's see, next turn we spend 3 on that. We have 2 mana left. Plus the treasure, so that's 3 after that. Yeah, Barbarian doesn't actually do much for us, but we do need to make it to 7 mana for the spellbook. So just a single treasure token is okay. But, like, we're not going to cast this for a long time, so it just doesn't line up with what we have currently well. Because, like, next turn we're just going to want a Hoarding Ogre or Contact Other Plane. The turn after that we're probably going to want to do one of those, whichever one we didn't do the turn before. I feel like it'll be quite a while before we actually want to play the Plundering Barbarian. And there is a Charmed Sleep on the Genie Windseer, so they'll be bashing in for 2 a turn still. Again, should be pretty low amount of aggression from our opponent, luckily. We have our own Charmed Sleep now, so I'm gonna send the Hoarding Ogre out. If they play a big creature that will block it well, we can Charmed Sleep that creature so that we can make sure to get in an attack or 2, get the treasure token we need. Now we draw a backup Hoarding Ogre. I think we just send in here and see what happens. They have a ton of untapped mana here, so I don't feel that our Hoarding Ogre is particularly safe. But again, we've got another, the natural one here. Hopefully that is not a sign of things to come. Ooh, do we just get the free kill there, or do they have 2 damage to throw at the Ogre afterwards? I guess they're just trying to stop the damage there. Maybe they have their own late game card? Oh no, there it is. There's the extra 2 damage. Just saving it for the last moment there. Earth Cult Elemental, we're going to sacrifice a Windseer here. We don't have anything to get rid of this enchantment. Oh, and they force us to sack another permanent? Well, treasure token it is. The nat 20 from our opponent, but with a Pixie Guide that's half as difficult as usual. Ooh, Barbarian class, so we can keep getting him with the Hoarding Ogre. I do like that. We're definitely going to Charm Sleep this 6/6 here. And we won't have enough mana to do anything else. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, I can't level up the Barbarian class. Actually, yeah, I can. Yeah, because Menace. Okay, I almost derped this up real bad. I was going to say, I can't level up the Barbarian class and then Charmed Sleep, because then I'm attacking with my Hoarding Ogre into their 6/6. But it's like, yeah, but then the Hoarding Ogre will be Menace, so I actually can. Alright, there we go. Get that 6/6 tapped down, leave it tapped. There's another Brazen Dwarf. So, they're back at it again with the 1/3s coming in. We're going to be just going for it with our 5/3 just by itself. It's always a 5/3 Menace. Potentially gets better. I think I go for the Contact Other Plane here. Well, do I? I'll have the mana for Spellbook after I attack. Even if I get a natural 1 twice in a row. But then I'll just play it and I won't play anything in a grave. There's just a Burning Hands in grave. I won't have the mana to immediately cast it anyway. Yeah, I could just sit here and get more treasure tokens, so we could just Contact Other Plane for now, or Power of Persuasion. Against 2 1-power creatures, I'll just Contact Other Plane here. Alright, I like both of these. Definitely like hitting land for turn here. I actually do want to get quite a bit of mana with that Spellbook. Oh yeah, now we get 2 more treasures. That's beautiful. We can even just drop the Devil's Chosen here, which I think I will do so that that can attack next turn. Because with the dice rolling from the Hoarding Ogre, every card in our hand rolls dice. We could potentially draw quite a few cards off of this. Can definitely at least give it Flying and Menace. Which, I mean, these 2 in conjunction could very well just kill our opponent next turn if they don't draw into an answer for 1 or 2 of them. One on top, one on bottom here, so one of those cards was something important to them. Another Pixie Guide gives them another blocker. And the other card is not going to get cast here. Alright, let's Power Persuasion here. If nothing else, this gets a blocker out of the way. And we'll use it on, I guess, a Pixie Guide here. They have to throw it on top or bottom of their library. We got a 10, so we draw a card off Farida and it gets Flying Menace. Flying Menace means can't get blocked, period. So we give it extra power here, go for 8 damage on that, hopefully. With all our dice rolls, we roll another die, that's going to be 7. Do I Pixie Guide here so that I can just get a bunch of natural 20s? Do I Mind Sorcerer? If I Mind Sorcerer and I get really lucky, I get to put like Contact Other Plane back in hand. But I won't have the mana to immediately cast it. I do get to roll another die pre-combat, which is nice. Yeah, roll another die pre-combat. Okay, yeah, we actually... So I can go for the win on the spot by attacking with both if I think they have nothing. And I think I will do that. They have something here. If they have 3 damage to Farida, though, they can block the Hoarding Ogre really easily. Alright, no. So, Flying Menace just gets in since we got rid of the second flyer they had on board. Yeah, I don't know what I was really worried about there with that attack. I guess, yeah, just 2 mana instant speed, 3 damage to something. But even if they had that card, they blow up Farida, they don't get to kill the Hoarding Ogre because they only have 2 power on the board to block the Hoarding Ogre anyway. So yeah, that was actually a really low-risk attack. I think I just assumed they had enough power out to kill the Hoarding Ogre if I didn't give that menace as well. Alright. Well, I don't know if I should keep this hand, but I definitely will keep this hand. The Plundering Barbarian gives us a treasure token to cast at least one of these blue spells, and then the Hoarding Ogre gives us the rest. Or, you know, at minimum, one, hopefully. If we have to chump attack it to get a treasure token, that'll be a sad time. But that's a thing we can do. So we're against green-blue with a Prosperous Innkeeper and Find the Path. Alright. This is what green and blue do well together in this format. Ramp up into some big plays. So I am very scared at our opponent's start. They already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they play a land next turn, they have 6 mana. We did draw into our island naturally, which is wonderful. We can get this Feywild Trickster on the board before we roll any dice here. Make sure to get some 1/1s out. There's a Genie Windseer from our opponent. Not that scary, but definitely good. They're going to start hitting us for 3 a turn in the sky. That is starting a clock here. I don't think I want to Charmed Sleep that because in a green-blue deck they are definitely going to have something bigger soon enough. And it's possible, although unlikely, that we can get enough 1/1 flyers to triple block it. So do I want to draw some cards here, or do I want to get a Hoarding Ogre out? I think I want to get a Hoarding Ogre out. Because, again, being able to just roll a die every turn is so good with an ability like Feywild Tricksters. And I expect... oh dear. Well, Mind Flayer is the kind of card... kind of need removal to kill it immediately, or it wins the game on the spot. And I think it just won the game on the spot here. Yeah, we only have one actual like burn spell removal for that. The 2 mana to do 3 damage to it. Mind Flayer is a devastating card if you cannot get it off the board immediately. We can't get it off the board, we can just tap it down. So now they just got a 3/3 and they killed our Hoarding Ogre and got a Hoarding Ogre of their own. Yeah, no, that ruins pretty much all our plans here. Do we just contact other plane? Because now we're all in on just drawing our burn spell. Probably just Swarming Goblins here for now, but I definitely want to get this contact other plane cast pretty soon. But Swarming Goblins make sure that we're doing well in terms of blockers on ground, so we don't get smacked by our own Hoarding Ogre. We were already very unlikely to get smacked by their Mind Flayer, because if they attack with Mind Flayer, we can just kill that, get our Ogre back. But that's probably worth it to them to just attack with the Hoarding Ogre, because even if they just trade into our 4/3, it's like they've 2-for-1 to us with our own cards, which is absolutely devastating. Oh, Fly to throw on the Mind Flayer so they can still just attack all here safely. Yep, I would say this is tremendously bad for us. We can't just bank on drawing our one way to kill that Mind Flayer. So I think we have to just deal with the Hoarding Ogre because we can deal with the Hoarding Ogre. I kind of want to just let them get the rest of this off. They get a 1/1 or a treasure token here. It's not that much value. Yeah, I'm not that worried about them getting a 1/1 or a treasure token here, so I'm going to let them venture a little bit more in the hopes that we can get enough of these flyers to have, you know, 3 of these flyers out to kill one of these 3/3s, rather than just chump block all of the time. Alright, and Clever Conjurer does pretty much nothing at this point. I guess it does add more power on the board, which is bad. Actually, it completely blanks our Charmed Sleep. Now whatever we try to Charmed Sleep, they can just untap with Clever Conjurer. Yeah, we're getting it absolutely handed it this game. There's Magic Missile to blow up the Mind Flayer. But we have already killed the Hoarding Ogre. Forgot about Magic Missile. I suppose we do have 2 ways to blow up the Mind Flayer. That might have changed the math a little bit to where we didn't want to trade with the Hoarding Ogre, just wanted to chump block there instead. So now We can magic missile one of the flyers in the future and triple block the other one, and then we might be okay. We can't do anything right now. Like here, I just pass. But if our opponent draws really poorly and we draw really well, we can still get out of this. What is the next level in their dungeon? They get a +1/+1 counter on something? Yikes. That's actually horrendous. I mean, I guess if we kill the Clever Conjurer here... If we kill the Clever Conjurer here, we can actually kill something with Charmed Sleep. So then we have 6 mana. We just go Charmed Sleep, Magic Missile. That kills both of these. We don't need to worry about getting 3 flyers anymore. So we can kill one of the flyers to kill Clever Conjurer. Yeah, no, next turn, Magic Missile, whichever flyer doesn't get the counter, Charmed Sleep the one that does. Then we've dealt with all the flyers, we've dealt with Conjurer, they have 2 1/1s, and that's it. They have 2 1/1s, everything else on their board is functionally dead or actually dead. Yeah, this seems right to me. We are down to 4 life, though, so it's gonna be painful. I suppose I could chump block with the other Fairy Dragon, go to 7 instead. Might be worth it, because this deck has had a bit of venturing. Ooh, they drain us some life here. Interesting. It is the correct play, because we do have the answer to both of these. So I think I want to Magic Missile the Mind Flayer, because it's venturing every turn, so we'll do the uncounterable thing on that, and then Charmed Sleep the other one. Although, yeah, I'm going to say they probably just don't have counters anyway. Alright, we actually have a shot here. I thought that Mind Flayer was going to be the nail in the coffin really early on, but we're sort of potentially stabilizing here. We're at 3 life, so it is not hard for them to find a way to just kill us. But if they don't find it quickly, our deck does get a lot of value very quickly here, especially with an Aberrant Mind Sorcerer in hand. We know we're going to get another 1/1 flyer next turn. We get another 1/1 flyer and we pick up our Contact Other Plane or Magic Missile here. Either of which would be great on this board. Magic Missile kills both of these and does 1 damage to them. Contact Other Plane draws us some more cards. Tries to dig through lands, make sure that we start playing a lot more stuff than our opponent here in this pseudo top deck war. Tap down the Feywild Trickster. All right, no Magic Missile then. We'll just trade with everything on board. All right, Genie Windseer coming out. Let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 mana. We can cast one of these 2, but that's it. With 8 mana, we could cast one of these and Barbarian. Either one that we want. I think I'd rather hold on to the Mind Sorcerer till later still. And it just depends on what we need at the time. So let's just go with the Windseer here. See what we scry into. Do they have the counterspell here? Counter something, draw a card. Ooh, it's just that counterspell. Alright, that's not bad. I thought it might be Bar the Door, or whatever it was called. Which is to counter a creature and venture into the dungeon. That would have been really bad for us. But this is like, that's fine. Alright, so it's a top deck board, but I have a Mind Sorcerer and they have nothing. And now Mind Sorcerer draws a draw spell for us. I think I want that over the Magic Missile here. It is a riskier choice, because Magic Missile can kill anything with 3 power or 3 toughness or less. So if they get the little, like, 2 mana 1/1 unblockable blue creature, that thing's just going to shred us on the spot. But I feel like that's really unlikely. If they're trying to get us unblockably somehow, I expect it to be with flyers, and we can easily block that with Fairy Dragon tokens. Oh yeah, and now we're straight in it to win it here. Scry 2, draw 2 now. Just loop these Contact Other Planes. Just keep contacting those planes all day long. Bam, get another 3/3 flyer and a 1/1 flyer out here. Absolutely going off, and there's the Wizard Spellbook to go off just that much more. Feywild Trickster is an absurd card. Yeah, and they scoop him up here. Stabilized after the Mind Flayer. I was probably being definitely a bit pessimistic when I saw that Mind Flayer, because I really didn't expect anything like that to happen, but that'll make it 3-0 here with our blue-red dice rolling deck. And my apologies if you can hear me drinking a lot. I have a bit of a sore throat today. And I'm also very excited, which makes me not do my normal thing of where I just mute the mic in between games and drink between games. No, today I'm chugging drinks in the middle of sentences. All right, so we're going first here. We're in game 4. Great hand, both colors. Pixie Guide to start it off into all the dice rolling you could ever want. No, that's really silly too, because I'm sure if you can hear me drinking, you could hear the fact that it's like 3 different drinks as well. Like I'm sipping out of a cup, drinking out of a water bottle, and drinking out of a straw. I really like a variety of beverages. I have water with fruit punch flavor, and a little bit of soda. Alright, we're playing against a red-green deck this time around. Here comes a Goblin Javelineer with boots of speed on it. We could trade for that, but I don't really like that trade because of how much our deck cares about rolling dice. I feel the Pixie Guide will do a lot of work for us later in the game. I guess the problem is we do have to survive until later in the game, and taking 2 a turn this early is quite a bit of pressure. Do I want to get a Hoarding Ogre out? Do I want to draw some cards here? Do I want to get a flyer out? Against a red-green, I'm not sure how likely the Hoarding Ogre is to attack. Yeah, I kind of like scrying here. Seeing what we're grabbing next. I don't really like the Mind Sorcerer here. Although I could draw it after the 5th land. We can go 5th land, Swarming Goblins, then we have a Mind Sorcerer in hand to bring back Contact to their plane, if nothing else. Yeah, that actually seems solid. I do really like the 5th land, so we can get Swarming Goblins out. I'm unsure about the Mind Sorcerer. It's going to be great later on, but right now it's not awesome. Alright, so here's where I have to decide. I mean, this Goblin Javelineer is essentially a 3/1. So I don't have anything that's going to block that well. Whatever I block it with is going to trade. I guess Swarming Goblins, if we roll a 10 or better, we can get 2 plus 1/1s. If we block that with 2 1/1s, one of the 1/1s will survive and then trade with it, because it only does 1 damage to 1 creature blocking it. Alright, I think we have our game plan against the Javelineer. We're hoping to block that with 2 1/1 Goblins. Of course, probably not a great game plan to rely on getting lucky, but with 2 d20s, we just need one of them to be 10. Fingers crossed. When in Rome. A natural 20. All right, give me 3 of those. Super fine with that. Now we've got the blocks for the Goblin Javelineer, and our opponent hasn't played anything else all game, so just a booted up Goblin Javelineer. We've got the blocks for it now. So as it stands, we'll just block it and get there in the sky. Alright, even a Swarming Goblins of their own. We have the blockers for that. We can keep hitting for 4 a turn in the sky. I think that's our game plan. Just play more flyers here seems fine by me. But yeah, goblin trades for goblin, goblin trades for goblin. They take 4. We just keep getting there in the sky. So just play another flyer here. I guess with Boots of Speed, we do have to worry about another attacker coming out this turn because they give haste. Ooh, Barbarian class? We do have 5 mana, so we can cast Barbarian class and like contact other plane and immediately get the buff out of it. We also really start doubling up the die rolls. I'm gonna keep it. Although, I'm again not entirely sure if it's correct. Might want to be playing it a little more safe and only playing cards that put something on the board to block with. But it's only 1 mana as well, so we're very likely to be playing 4 mana spells in the very near future. And when we do, having something else to do with that final 1 point of mana is going to be nice. Easy trades here. And I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We might just win with Barbarian class. No, we won't. If they attack with both of these, then we do win on the reverse attack with Barbarian class, which is really nice. So I really hope they go all out here. Oh yeah, because now they have 1 blocker, so if we give Swarming Goblins Menace, it's a 6 power Menace creature. They can't block that, and they can't block any of the flyers. So we chump block the 4/3 here just to be extra safe, and then take the rest of the damage, attack back for lethal. Barbarian class. Oh, we have to level it up. Oh, that was a mistake. I forgot we have to level it up. We do get to double up our die rolls here, though. Ooh, punt. Yeah, I guess this isn't lethal. Well, I should have traded Swarming Goblins for Swarming Goblins there, I think. It isn't a punt to cast the Barbarian class, but the way that we blocked last turn was definitely probably not ideal. Because, yeah, we're not playing Mind Sorcerer this turn. We have nothing to pick up. Yeah, we don't need to draw anything particular to win this game. Like, we just need to attack them 2 turns in a row, so I guess we just play another blocker here. We do have to chump block with the 1/1 if we send in the Swarming Goblins, but I think we just send these in. If they go down to 4, they have to kill both our Windseers to survive. If they only kill one of the Windseers, we can crack back with a 3/3 flyer and a 1/3 flyer. We can just throw Pixie Guide on the 1/1 as that block. This block's there, this block's there. They have to have something pretty good this turn to crack through for lethal. Alright, Owlbear, they can give haste. Is that enough? Might be. No, I don't think it's quite enough here. I don't think. I could be wrong here. But yeah, we keep both Windseers, and now when we just stop all the damage we can by blocking there. Stop maximum damage. We have lethal on the crackback. Yeah, we're at 3 life. We're good. Alright, that got a little sketchy there. But we did make it in the end. Whew. That was a mistake that could have cost us there. I completely forgot we have to level up Barbarian class before it gives things Menace. So now that I have made that mistake, I won't make it again. That is the lovely thing about terrifying mistakes like that, especially when they actually cost you a game. If you make a mistake based on the text of a card in Magic and like you lose the game because of it, it's really, really hard to ever make that mistake again because you're going to remember it. Whenever you draw that card, you're like, ooh, remember that one time that I forgot it doesn't naturally give Menace? You have to level it up. And then I lost the game because of that. So it's good to make mistakes and learn from them. Generally in life and in Magic. I suppose theoretically it would be better to never make mistakes. Because then I would have won all of the games in the world, but... Seeing as I am not the smartest player in the world, I would rather make the mistake, especially in a game where it doesn't cost me the game, than not make that mistake and then all of a sudden later on I completely don't realize that and it does cost me the game. Anyways, opponent starts with one of the biggest bomb rares in the whole format. We're just going to blow that up. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. I can't cast 2 spells this turn no matter what, so I think I'll just cast Magic Missile, to be honest. Because I want to blow that up before it ventures at all. Like, before it gives them any more value here. Even though we could, like, play Devil's Chosen and try to immediately start going crazy with dice rolling, I think it's better to just keep them off that game plan. I'd rather play the more expensive removal, so it's possible to double spell later on with the Dragon's Fire. Cast 2 things in one turn, since they do just as much damage, and I doubt I'm going to want to do like 1 to one thing and 2 to another thing at this point in the game. Alright. Now we'll pretty easily just cast a Hoarding Ogre here, because that rolls a die whenever it attacks, so next turn we could potentially cast Devil's Chosen, attack with Hoarding Ogre, potentially draw a card, get a 1/1, all that fancy stuff. I suppose Half-Elf Monk can just sit here tapping down the Hoarding Ogre, which is annoying, to be sure. Alright, I am going to attack with Hoarding Ogre here if they don't tap it down. Alright, I was going to say, the biggest reason they would have for not tapping it down is if they want to just go for a double block to kill it. And then if they do, because this will make at least 1 treasure token, I can get them with the Dragon's Fire and just kill both their creatures and have my Hoarding Ogre survive, which would be really cool. Actually, I guess I couldn't kill both their creatures, because I'd have to kill Priest of Ancient Lore with the 3 damage for Hoarding Ogre to survive. But still a safe attack where Hoarding Ogre wouldn't die there. Alright, let's start rolling some dice here, see if we can't get in there with Farida and draw a card. Would I rather Power of Persuasion here? I don't think so. Like, if I bounce that wolf token, it's gone forever, which is cool. But I don't really care about the wolf token, because it attacks in and I just block it with a 3/3. And they already have more than enough to keep blocking me on the ground. Yeah, I think I just want to draw cards here and hold up my Dragon's Fire. And we did roll a 10 or better, so we will be drawing more cards, thanks to Farida. And we draw into a Barbarian class. Interesting. Alright, we have Flying and Menace, so they can't block with the Elterguard Ranger because we have Menace. Do I hold up Dragon's Fire, or do I just cast Barbarian class right now? I think I hold up Dragon's Fire, and then at end step I might blow up that Ranger. Although it only has 1 toughness, and anytime that Farida gets flying, it has Menace as well. Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't attack in well against the 1/1s. It doesn't block the 1/1s well. It doesn't block Farida. Maybe I'm not blowing up anything with the Dragon's Fire, but it just makes me feel safe when I have it. Uh-oh. Cleric class, this is a big card here. That can get back their Nadar from their graves, so now I'm probably holding on to Dragon's Fire just to kill that. Once they hit level 3 on this. Alright, and they just pass turn here. Swarming Goblins is the draw. We have 7 mana now. I can play Barbarian class, level it up, and have 4 mana left to play around with. What am I playing around with, though? I really just want to play a Swarming Goblins, which costs 5 and not 4. So, I mean, I think I'm just playing a Swarming Goblins here. Am I holding up Dragon's Fire? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana left. Costs 4 mana to level up class again, so we know they're not getting Nadar back. Nadar is by far the most likely card I need to kill. If they venture farther, they get a 1/1 or a treasure token, so even if they venture off the Intrepid Outlander, we're okay with that. Yeah, let's play Barbarian class and Swarming Goblins here, I think. Yeah. And then it's more likely I roll a 10 or better to draw a card off Farida, and more likely that I roll high to get more goblins and also get Flying Menace. Yeah, so I get a 16 here. Draw a card, have Flying Menace this turn. Okay, and they tap Farida. That's fine. They still draw us cards. They have a 2-3 reach now. What am I kidding? I forget this card has reach. This card is so above the curve for its cost. 2 mana for a 2-3 reach plus a value Pack Tactics trigger. I suppose it is uncommon. It's not just a common or anything. Alright, we're passing turn. We're holding up a million blockers. Seems pretty solid here. Null Hunter from our opponent. And they just scoop them up. I guess they just see the writing on the wall with our triggers all stacking up. I think the main thing that's really hindering our opponent here is they're just not drawing into their removal, which is an issue. Feywild Trickster and Farida Devil's Chosen, both cards that in any blue-red deck, but especially in our deck, just need to be dealt with as quickly as possible, or they just start accruing massive amounts of value. Just drawing cards over and over and over, spitting out 1/1s over and over and over. And our opponent's just over it here. Does feel a little premature to me, because I guess just from my perspective, I'm still kind of scared of our opponent. I mean, even though we have a million blockers, getting a Nadar back later is kind of scary to me because of the fact that we know they have other ways to venture. They have the Outlander at least. I guess the Outlander would die if it ventures. If this attacks, it's going to die when it ventures. But the potential of them bringing back a 3/3 Vigilance that they gain some life, so put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then their whole field gets +1/+1. It's a little bit scary to me, but I guess we didn't know what our opponent's 3 cards were. They knew what they were. Maybe those 3 cards were also just not helpful there. So 5-0. Was not expecting this at all here, but I'll absolutely take it. Whatever record we get from now on, we are in the gyms. Uh-oh. Now we're getting paired against Mythic players. That's what happens when you go 5-0 right off the bat. It has been quite some time since I've hit Mythic. Just have not had the time lately. You have to be really, really good or have a lot of time on your hands to hit Mythic. And because I'm not exceptionally good, the only times I have hit Mythic were when I was playing Draft a absolute boatload. I hit Mythic January through March this year, but have not hit it since. Alright, well, aggressive white-black deck here. Ranger's Hawk turn 1 into Vampire Spawn turn 3. Play a Pixie Guide or a Farida here. I like going for Pixie Guide because, or we can go for Pixie Guide or a Plundering Barbarian here is what I meant to say. I like going for Pixie Guide because we know we have Farida coming up, and alright, well, Pixie Guide might get blown up here by some form of removal. Precipitous drop here? Manticore, okay. But that blocks either one of them without dying. Plundering Barbarian doesn't block the flyer, and it doesn't block the ground creature. So Pixie Guide can soak up some damage. And we don't need the treasure token from the Barbarian, so that's why I went with the Guide over the Barbarian. Plus, with a Farida coming up, we do want advantage on die rolls if we could have kept the Pixie Guide around. I like getting a 3/3 flyer that can block either of these and survive. Even though I do like getting value off of Farida, our opponent is clearly aggressive and we're already down to 14, so it might be worth it to just stop some damage immediately. Plus, we do get some scry off the Windseer no matter what, so that is some value, if not nearly as much as Farida would have gotten. We have a Wizard spellbook in hand, so I do like drawing the 5th land, or the 6th land, sorry. We'll draw the Windseer first, though, so that I have one more option to play next turn. Since I already have 5th land in hand, I have my land for next turn. Minimus Containment on the Windseer. Hey, that's a treasure token for the Wizard spellbook. If we can survive long enough to cast it, we definitely have the long game on lock. We just need to do everything we can to survive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana here. 5 if I don't want to sack a treasure, so I could go Plundering Barbarian, create another treasure, and then Genie Windseer. The Barbarian doesn't help block anything, though. It chump blocks Vampire Spawn once, that's all it does, so I really don't like Plundering Barbarian here. I think I just go for another Windseer. Yeah, I mean, honestly. See what's coming after the island. Magic Missile, get that right on top, I think, right? Oh, yeah, blow up Ranger's Hawk Manticore and do 1 damage to their face. We're going to draw that next, but we still want the land. Yeah, because we can cast this stuff after the Magic Missile. So we're hopefully still banking on that late game Wizard Spellbook. Sepulture Ghoul, all right. And a Plate Armor to start throwing on their stuff. But here's Magic Missile. They can use Sepulture Ghoul to sack a creature to make that survive the Magic Missile. But we kill all the other stuff. We blow up Plate Armor here. That is so good. So we go 1 damage to each of these. They'll respond by sacking a creature to Sepulture Ghoul to save that one at least. But we still kill Ranger's Hawk and Manticore here. And now we actually want to Plundering Barbarian, so I can blow up that Plate Armor. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then we really go for the Stabilize after this turn. Just play more creatures here, and we just have a bigger field. And we'll start drawing a lot more cards than they will, potentially. Oh dear, that's actually a really good draw. Give the field +1/+1 Vigilance here. Sacrificing a creature to the Sepulture Ghoul makes it a 5/4... 5/4 trades for both of these, but the Ghoul dies, so I could block there. And we trade for both, or I take 5 damage here. Let's see, I double block here. Either the Windseer dies, or I take 5. Would I rather do that, or just get the Ghoul out of the way? If I just get the Ghoul out of the way, I take... I lose all my creatures if I do that, which is scary to me. They're going to have a 4/4 left over after this? Yeah, I think I do this double block. Now I can have a 3/3 and a 2/2 to double block the 4/4, if nothing else. I just need them to miss on a draw or two here. Alright, they get to kill Farida. We have a 2/2 to trade into their 2/1. We play another creature here to play it safe, or we contact another plane. We're at 5 if they can blow up this creature and play another creature. They sacrifice it, deal 4. We're still at 1 life, so we still survive. This might be the turn we contact other plane. But if we play Hoarding Ogre here, we might be able to cast Spellbook next turn, but Spellbook doesn't do anything till the turn after we play it, most likely. I do kind of like the Hoarding Ogre here, because it's safer against, like, removal. And it also plays into getting the Spellbook out earlier. Oh, Lord, that's lethal on the spot. Ah, well, those were some brutal draws from our opponent to end that game, but... what are you gonna do? Five and 1 it is. That'll be our first loss to the Mythic Aggro player. All right. We are on the play here. We get to grab a blue source from Evolving Wild, so we have both colors. Don't do anything until turn 3, but we do a Magic Missile turn 3, which is wonderful. Definite keep here. There's a Lightfoot Rogue. There's one card to kill with our Magic Missile. If they play another creature with 2 or less toughness, I'm going to be very, very excited. I don't think I'm going to go for the 1-for-1 with it here. Just hold it for later. Shambling Ghast? Well, kill 2 things with it now. Do definitely need to hit a 4th mana. Sure, let's go for the double kill here. I don't really want to take more damage. They do get a treasure token out of the Ghast. Clattering Skeletons, we can Power of Persuasion to slow that down. Although we have hit the 4th mana. If they don't have removal, Farida's going to be great. Because we play this, and then, again, everything in our hand rolls d20s when we start casting everything else. Yeah, we'll go for it. Blue-red dice rolling, go all high risk, high reward. Owlbear. Well, a 4/4 trample's really terrifying. But I also don't like putting that in their hand and allowing them to recast it and draw another card. We'll have 5 mana here. We can only cast 1 thing this turn. Get another blocker I can trade with the Skeletons. I could Power Persuasion here for 3. On the Skeletons, I suppose. Go for a double block on the Owlbear, but I really don't want to lose Farida. Let's scry here. And get a blocker to trade with Skeletons. Dragon's Fire. I think I keep it. And we're not... Are we going to double block Owlbear? Really don't feel like we're going to. I mean, we're at 13, though. So I have to consider it. No, I don't think so. So we'll get in for that damage. I am going to make this trade because I really don't want to go down to 5 here. Even if I do have the Dragon's Fire for the Clattering Skeletons. That's likely to be able to kill something else later on. Yeah, we can kill a Direwolf Prowler with that instead. We have enough mana to do that and Power of Persuasion here. So I might just do that, even though they get to draw another card off the Owlbear just to slow them down. Because, like, a Hoarding Ogre is not going to trade for an Owlbear unless I double block, and then it's just Farida. Yep. I think I'm just going to bite the bullet there, let them draw some more cards. Got the bad roll too, so it just goes back to the hand, unfortunately. Yeah, but we're somewhat in competition now. They're down to 13, like we're hurting them as well. That's gonna end that right there. Froghemoth exiles 4 cards from our grave. They gain life for each creature, get a counter on it. They get a counter art for each creature, gain life for each non-creature, so that all of a sudden, bam, right back in their favor heavily. They're up to 16 now. Well, I think we're getting nuked out of this game as well. Without much we can say about it. We have a 5/5 Trampler. I guess we go for the double block on that. Well, I won't go for the double block on the Owlbear. I've got no choice but to go for the double block on the Froghemoth. Or we'll absolutely take over. And probably have instant speed removal by now, too. No. Alright. They do have a Manticore, though, which does finish off one of the creatures, so I guess that counts. If I just drop a Pixie Guide here, I can block Manticore, but then I'm not drawing any cards here. I could contact other plane, hope to be able to scry so I can hit another blue source so I can get Pixie Guide out, as well as drawing cards here. Leveling up Barbarian class does just nothing for us, so we're taking 2 and going to 3 life if we don't get the Pixie Guide out. Getting another blue source is pretty important, getting up to that Wizard Spellbook. Let's be risky here. We'll draw a blue source, I promise. Oh, Feywild Trickster. Oh god. Blue source right after you? Alright, well, we are taking 2, going to 3. There's the Owlbear. Ooh. Ooh, that's bad. I can only cast one of these spells. But at this point, I'm dead no matter what I do, right? Like, I contact other plane, even if I hit the blue source, I just get a Pixie Guide out, which stops 3 of the trample damage. I still take 3 total, 2 from that, 1 trampling over there. And if I don't play the next contact other plane, then I'm just casting 1 thing and then blocking dying. Nope, we're mega dead there. And just running out the Pixie Guide last turn would have definitely been the less risky play, but I felt like if we didn't find another blue source and get closer to the Wizard Spellbook, we really don't have the momentum to be able to dig ourselves out of that grave there, because we need to be able to cast 2 things a turn, get enough stuff on board, or at least get some value while we're playing blockers. So I think in hindsight I'm fine with it, but it's definitely a debatable choice on going for the contact other plane or just casting the Pixie Guide. If we had the Pixie Guide out, we'd still be at 5 life there, but we would be even deeper in the no double blue pit, because we would just cast the contact other plane that turn. Even if we scryed 2 on bottom based on what we saw there, we wouldn't have hit the blue. Alright. I will keep this hand, although it is risky. Only 2 mana is definitely not enough for this deck to operate on. But we have Dragon's Fire to hopefully hold down the fort. And a Pixie Guide's a great draw here, being a 3 toughness creature on turn 2 to also help there. Playing against a red-green, starting with an Armory Veteran. Probably a pretty aggressive deck here. I'll just hold back the 1/3 to block that. Hold the Dragon's Fire to kill something. Yeah, we'll definitely kill the Direwolf Prowler, I think, over the Armory Veteran, because that can make itself a 4/4. Alright. No attacks here. One mana away from getting everywhere we need to be, with contact other planes here to draw into our next mana. Although, this is an aggressive enough format. If you're playing against an aggressive deck, stumbling on mana can often be a death sentence, and they have curved out here 2, 3, 4, 5, which is probably just it. Down to 10 life now. They've got a burn spell 2 here. We've got 2 burn spells 2 here. Well, that's gonna end the run there, unfortunately. play the risk reward deck. We got a lot of great lucky games early on, but at some point that risk has to stop paying off, and that will bring us to 5 and 3, 1,600 gems and 4 packs as the rewards, somewhere I am very happy to be overall. So let's see what we get out of these bonus packs, but that is going to end today's video. Hope you all enjoyed the draft, and if you have been enjoying them, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know that you want to see more. And as always, thank you all very much for watching another Premier Draft, and I will be back again very soon for some more Magic Arena, as I keep talking slower and slower because I'm trying to talk over all the packs. One more pack to go. Alright, Varus Silvery Moon Ranger is the last rare. But anyways, thank you all as always for watching. I'll see you again very soon for some more Magic Arena.